Welcome in. It's the second cut. RSM Classic is making its cut. Just a few more golfers out on both golf courses, and 7 under is the number. Just a matter of how many guys are going to make it to the weekend. Handful finishing up on 7 under. Couple guys at 6 under trying to get there. So should be a very exciting finish to the first 2 days of the RSM Classic. Very compact days, right? When they've got everybody out on 2 golf courses and split tees, the play only goes on for what feels like 5 or 6 hours and they're done. They don't have to start early. They get to finish late. This will be the last round of the week at the Plantation course. The boys will go to the Seaside course for the final 2 rounds once that cut line is made. A couple of notes between the 2 golf courses. As expected in general, scores have been very good. The forecast of no wind has held. That is a situation where this week wind is the only line of defense. And without that, it is just rolling over and playing significantly under par. In the opening round, the Seaside course, the more difficult side, played 2 shots better than par. The Plantation course, 3.5. So a little bit more than a stroke difference between the Seaside course and the Plantation course. Round number 2 is still wrapping up. We'll get the final numbers, but even better, the Plantation course is 4 under. The Seaside course is 2.5 under. So a little bit of a bigger gap and plenty of scoring abound on both sides of this property. Looks like the guys are having a great time out there. They're not having trouble with much. The man who's maybe having the most fun is Andrew Novak, fellow YouTuber, fellow podcaster, right? Doesn't he have his own fantasy football podcast, or at least talks about fantasy football on YouTube quite a bit? But it was not football on this day. It was a 7 under 65 in round number 2 to go along with his 61 on the Seaside course in the opening round. And despite a couple of stumbles coming in here with bogeys on 7 and 9, his 2 of his 3 final holes of the day, it looks like Andrew Novak is going to take the lead into the weekend. It would require somebody like Michael Thorbjornsen to make eagle on his final hole, somebody like Johnny Kiefer to make albatross on his final hole. I think it's pretty safe to say Andrew Novak is going to be your 36-hole leader. This feels a lot like he has nothing to lose. I'm not sure he's going to feel that way, but he's at home. He's a Sea Island guy, probably knows these golf courses very well. The card, the top 50 for next year, locked up, ready to rock and roll. He's not playing for anything there. He's got the win with Ben Griffin at the Zurich Classic, but that's, kind of feels like a half a win. This is the ability for him to go out and get his own victory, be his first solo win on the PGA Tour. He won on the Korn Ferry Tour in February of 2020. It feels like he doesn't have a lot to lose here. It feels like nothing can go wrong. It's all gravy. Even if he struggles this weekend, card's all good. He's at home. He doesn't have a long flight home to think about. Like, it feels like a pretty good spot for Andrew Novak to be firing on all cylinders over the course of the weekend. We'll talk about it, but he is the favorite to win the RSM Classic here at the halfway point. You can see the stretch of golf that he played from holes 15 through the turn to number 2. That is 6 consecutive birdies for Andrew Novak on the Plantation course. Going back to the way that he played on the Seaside course, that's the side that we have the ShotLink stuff on. Top 10 in approach, top 10 with the putter. That is a way to go super, super low. And he did it again today at the Plantation course. A couple of guys trying to chase him down. There has been a lot of there's always a lot of chatter about Sea Island Mafia this week, and the data and information doesn't necessarily back up the fact that those guys play better here. There's a lot of guys who've played here 18 times and don't have a lot of great results. Andrew Novak trying to break through for Sea Island Mafia. Grayson Sig trying to break through for Sea Island Mafia. Both those guys played the Plantation course. Grayson Sig goes out and shoots the round of the day, a 10 under 62, and he was only 2 under standing on the 12th tee. I'll say that again. Grayson Sig was 10 under, and he was 2 under standing on the 12th tee. And look at this stretch of golf that he played after that. Birdie, 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 eagle. That is 8 under in his last 7 holes. It's 28 on the second 9. Just completely nuclear, absolutely nuts. This play from Grayson Sig leading into this event was starting to show more signs of optimism. It had not been a good year. I'm being very generous when I say that about Grayson Sig's 2025. But once the fall started, he kicked it off with a top 20 in Napa. He followed it up with a top 25 at the Sanderson Farms, a top 15 at the Black Desert. That's 3 in a row. Made the cut at both the WWT and in Bermuda. He did not have a stretch of, God, did he make consecutive cuts this year? He did. Yeah. The last time he made consecutive cuts was in March this year. Okay. That's how bad it has been. So the fall gave him a little bit of a renewal, a little bit of a rebirth, and he's taking advantage of it because he's just going to be very close to the top of the lead here, just currently 2 shots off the pace for Grayson Sig, who does, as you can imagine, have a lot of work to do. He started this week 143rd in the FedEx Cup standings. A 3-way tie for third is only moving him up to 117th at the moment. So he needs all the points. He needs the solo points. He doesn't want to split them. He needs all of that stuff. So Grayson Sig, a lot more work to do and a lot more to play for than maybe some of these other guys, but a pair of Sea Island boys working their way through. We saw Grayson Sig get nuclear on this Friday. We've seen Sammy Valamaki do that a lot, but it's been difficult for him to put multiple rounds together. He did his best work today on the Seaside course. In fact, it was the round of the day on the Seaside course, that 8 under 62. Eric Cole also had an 8 under 62, Antoine Rosner and Patrick Fishburne as well. But it's Valamaki who sits up there in a tie for third, just 2 shots off the lead. This 62 on the Seaside course was, it didn't really have any birdie streaks, right? He only went back to back on 2 separate, or excuse me, on one occasion. He had 1 birdie streak, 9, 10, and 11. That's it. Otherwise, they were spread out. Birdies on 1, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11. We talked about that. 13, 15, and 17. So just picking off his chances everywhere he turned, not getting absolutely on a run of 5 or 6 birdies in a row, not closing in 28 like we saw Grayson Sig. He was led with the putter. He picked up 3.5 shots on the putting surface, another stroke around the green. He actually lost a smidge on approach, which is a little bit concerning, which is this is kind of why Sammy Valamaki, at least here in 2025 and other times in his career, he has not been that consistent 4 rounds golfer because of things like this. Can he go absolutely nuts and shoot the round of the day? Of course. Can he get hot for 2 rounds? Indeed. But because of the way he does it, struggling a bit on approach today, picking up less than a stroke off the tee, the ball striking numbers were not very good. This is pretty unsustainable. You would expect him to go, I don't want to say backwards, but he's almost certainly not going to shoot an 8 under 62 on Saturday around the Seaside course. And if he does, he's not going to do it by picking up 5 strokes to the field in the short game category. So that would be a little bit concerning if you're looking at this leaderboard at the halfway point and Sammy Valamaki is the horse that you want to ride. Much better profiles for Andrew Novak and Grayson Sig with the 1 round that we have at the Seaside course. The young guns absolutely injecting themselves into this fall schedule and injecting themselves into this championship. 2 of them still out on the golf course right now. Michael Thorbjornsen is finishing up his final hole of the day on the Seaside course. He just drove it in the left-hand bunker on number 9. He is 2 shots off the lead. Might be hard to make birdie from there, although he just hit it to 25 feet. So he's got a 25-footer for birdie on the final hole of the day to get to 15 under par. Someone asked me in a live chat, I want to say a week or 2 ago, and said, like, what would you say to like Michael Thorbjornsen 0.5 wins in the next year, over under? I was like, I think I'd take the over. I thought long and hard about it because there's not a lot of wins for even fewer golfers, but he has found something in the last 6 months that has really taken what we knew from his raw talent and now started to show up on leaderboards. And he is again knocking on the door at a PGA Tour stop, which is something that he's done basically all fall. And he's got a chance to get this within one shot of the lead at the halfway point. And if he two putts, then he's going to be 2 shots back and he's going to be in a great spot going into the weekend. And then you have Johnny Kiefer, who's even kind of newer to the game here. And the conversations you hear about Johnny Kiefer are astounding, right? Baylor Bear, who crushed it in college, crushed it on the Korn Ferry Tour, has got his PGA Tour card, and now he's showing up and he's putting together some really fine performances. So he opened with a 65 on the Seaside course, and he's doing better on the Plantation course right now. In fact, he just finished up on number 9. He made par, so he is in at 13 under par after shooting that 8 under 64 around the Plantation course today. Really, really good stuff, right? So you've got this board now where you've got a PGA Tour winner. I'll put that in quotes for Andrew Novak. You've got Sammy Valamaki and Grayson Sig trying to chase him down. You've got Michael Thorbjornsen, Johnny Kiefer, young guns trying to chase down. And sitting in second by himself is Patrick Rodgers, who shot a 62 today. Is Patrick Rodgers trying to draft off of Adam Schenk? And what I mean by that is Adam Schenk and his win in Bermuda ended one of the longest winless droughts on the PGA Tour. Adam Schenk had, I'll look it up here, 242 starts on the PGA Tour before finally breaking through and getting that victory. Patrick Rodgers is at 311. This is 312. In fact, there are only a couple of other golfers. Ricky Barnes still active, David Hearn technically still active, Jeff Overton, who have more starts since 1997 without a victory. Patrick Rodgers, world-class collegiate athlete, set all the records at Stanford, which is like one of the top golfing programs. And he's just been unable to get the job done on the PGA Tour. He's had a great career, a long, successful career, but no wins to show for it. Right the week after Adam Schenk ends his 200-plus start drought, Patrick Rodgers could be on the verge of ending a 300-plus start winless drought. So unbelievable storylines at the top of the board. We will start to get, there's this correction, right? You've got the guys that played the Plantation course on Thursday, and then they got to play it on Friday. So everybody has now completed a round at both of these golf courses, and we're going to go back to the Seaside course. Farther down the list, which it's going to start, Greg and I talked about this on last Friday's show, where when you have a difficult golf course like Bermuda, where the wind was blowing like crazy, it's easier to move up the board, right? You shoot a couple under par, the leaders come back, you think that you can make a big leap. When everybody's going out and making a bunch of birdies, it's a lot harder to make that leap, right? It's a lot hard. You have to go out and you have to shoot 8 or 9 under par, and maybe you're picking up 2 shots on the field. 3, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get my point. So there are some cool names that are on the first or second page of the leaderboard that are probably going to have the best rounds of the weekend if they want to eventually win this golf tournament. Keith Mitchell and Doc Redman are both lurking at 11 under par. It's good to see Keith Mitchell playing well. Always does it on Thursday and Friday. Needs to do it on Saturday, Sunday. Doc Redman is like, he has found something. It's only been 2.5 starts since he has found it, but he's looking a lot like Doc Redman of old than Doc Redman of like 2025, which was a lost year. 2024 was not very good either. Doug Gim, who opened up with a 60, that's right, I said 60, nearly shot the magic number on the Seaside course yesterday, was 1 under on the Plantation course. And while 1 under might sound like a good score for you or I, that is 3 shots worse than the field average. So Doug Gim plummets from first place down to a tie for 13th going into the weekend. Some guys did play hero ball. Mark Hubbard, after shooting an even par round of 70, shot a 9 under 63 and moved up 95 spots to make the weekend. He's now in a tie for 30th. Michael Brennan, I got a tweet. Greg was tagged in it too. Like, Michael Brennan, how could he be the golfer of the week? This guy stinks. Yeah, it wasn't good. 70 on Thursday, but he followed it up with a very nice 64 and actually left a couple of shots out there. He will be around for the weekend. He's in a tie for 46. Not going to win this golf tournament, but he's certainly someone who could improve his position over the next couple of days. Daniel Berger is through. Harris English is through. Bo Hostler is through. That 7 under par number is sticking. It is going to be the cut score, and those guys are all done. It's just a matter of how many are getting in. Pearson Cootie's got 1 hole to play. He's on the number, and there are just, I mean, literally probably 10 or maybe 12 guys on the golf course right now, all playing their final hole or 2. The odds to win this golf tournament from our friends in Las Vegas have Andrew Novak as the favorite. Is 3-1. Michael Thorbjornsen is 5-1. Patrick Rodgers is 5.5-1. Sammy Valamaki is 8.5-1. Grayson Sig is 13-1. The discussion is probably very different than what we discussed last Friday, which is like, hey, you're either playing the top of the board or you're going way down the board. I think the winner is coming out of probably those 5 names that I just mentioned. Sure, could Johnny Kiefer make up 3 shots to get his first PGA Tour win in his like 5th start? Yeah, maybe he can, but I think that is a pretty big ask. I think the most likely scenario, I don't know if I would put my money down on it, but Novak feels like he has nothing to lose here. I mentioned that earlier. I feel like he has absolutely nothing to lose. Patrick Rodgers at 5.5-1 is somewhat interesting, but I think because Michael Thorbjornsen is 5-1, I would lean Thorbjornsen over Rodgers. They're both 15 under. Thorbjornsen's a little bit shorter. Thorbjornsen's been playing a little bit better, but I honestly kind of think that Andrew Novak is going to win this golf tournament. How far back is too far back, Joseph? Do we have the drop for how far back is too far back?
How far back is too far back?
How far back is too far back? I think you got to be pretty close here. I think 11 under, 5 shots is probably too far back. 12, you're pushing it. Is there a world in which, I mean, if Andrew Novak and Michael Thorbjornsen, those guys go out and shoot 4 under par each day on the weekend, and they get to 24 and 23 under, the 12s are going to have to shoot 11 under par to get there, which is, it's possible. It's possible, but it's going to have to be the best 2 rounds of the weekend, I think, on the Seaside course. And it is the side that's more exposed. It is certainly possible you could get a little bit of a wave. It's actually more likely you probably get a wave advantage or a tee time advantage on the weekend than you did on the weekdays, because everybody's playing the same course. If I saw it correctly, I think everybody's going off number 1 tomorrow. I don't know why they wouldn't. And it's on the more exposed side of things. So like, I guess it is possible that could happen. I just don't think it's very likely. So eyes on the weekend for me. I think there's a lot of great stories here. Novak winning would feel like his first win, and it would also feel like a home game win. Grayson Sig would also feel like a home game win. Patrick Rodgers would be a historic win after the drought that he's on. Thorbjornsen would get his first. Kiefer would be an electric win. So there are a ton of great storylines at the top of the board. It is a fascinating setup for the final 36 holes. Where did Adam Schenk finish? Almost dead last. Yeah, that was coming, wasn't it? I can't believe he played this week. He finished he's in a tie for 151st. There was no way he was going to play well this week after finally getting across the finish line. That was the absolute lock of the century. I should have texted you, Josh, 20 minutes ago, but now we're about done. So no need, but appreciation will get at you soon. The second cut will be back on Sunday evening. And then, dun, dun, dun. Wait. I'll be loading in some new drops for next week because we've got something special coming next week that should be able to fill up your feeds for any potential travel for the Thanksgiving holiday, or just if you want to listen at home all by yourself. All right. That'll do it. Big thanks to producer Mina, who's, hold on, get your thumb back in there, giving us thumbs up. She's done a great job on the scorecards and everything this week. I will see y'all on Sunday.